Namaste, this is JV and Dr. Vishal Saxena, Associate Professor in Mathematics and Statistics in Jayoti Vidyapeeth Women's University, Jaipur. Today I am going to discuss on the module frequency distribution. This module of frequency distribution is a part of the course Biostatistics and under the program of MSc NND, MSc Microbiology, MSc Biotechnology and MSc FST first semester of the university. This part of frequency distribution is an important part of biostatistics as well as the statistics. As all we know that biostatistics is the study of the statistics or the statistical the subjects and along with the biological experiments and the biological phenomena in which and in both the subjects statistics and the biostatistics the frequency and the frequency distribution is the important part there. And frequency, as all we know that frequency means just when a data repeated more than one time, then it can be said to, or it is the number of times. So frequency is the number of times the data repeats. So how many times the data is repeated is called the frequency of the distribution for the data. Suppose we are having a data like 1, 2, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So we can see here the data 2 is repeated 2 times. So its frequency will be 2, and the rest of the data like 1, 3, 4 and 5 are just coming one time. So these are called their frequencies are 1. So that is the definition of frequency, and that is the meaning of frequency, and what is the concept of the frequency distribution. The frequency distribution means just it can be assumed as like a table or a graph of the data along with their frequencies. So if we arrange data and their frequencies, then it can be taken as the frequency distribution, and in which the frequencies are, or in which we can take the data in either the a single form or the interval way. And this type of frequency distribution, the frequency distribution is an important part, because various just concepts of the statistical experiments, statistical problems, statistical data, statistical analysis will depend upon the calculation of or will involved in the frequency distribution. That's why this part of frequency distribution is important. And the frequency distribution can be divided into 5 different types, 5 different categories. These categories can be assumed as like the inclusive series, inclusive frequency distribution series, and the exclusive frequency series. Third can be assumed as like the open-end series, and fourth is the cumulative frequency series. As all we know that cumulative frequency, and we will discuss just later on in the today's session what is meaning of cumulative frequency. And the fifth is the midpoint frequency series. So these are the types of the frequency series, frequency distribution series, and we discuss about these series in detail and with example. So we take this part with some slides. So initially in the first slide we can see their frequency distribution is shown that its definition is given that So it can be taken as a list or a table or a graph, and it displays the frequency of various outcomes in a sample. So simply it may be like a list or a table or a graph, and finally it just displays the frequency of the various outcomes in a sample. And we have explained what is meaning of frequency. Frequency means the number of times a data repeats in a series is called that the frequency of the data. Now next, just we are having the two figures, and the figure 1 is showing the univariate, means the single variable frequency table, and the second just table will show the interval or the range or the interval type of the frequency distribution series, and we can understand in that way like so there are two type of tables are given that, and the first table in which degree of agreement and the numbers are given. So degree of agreement like strongly agree and agree somewhat, not sure, disagree somewhat, strongly disagree. So some agreement degrees are given that, and their frequencies are also given that. So this type of series can be assumed as a univariate series because only one variable is taken there. Just one variable is taken, that is the like degree of agreement, while this number is showing the frequency of this variable, and that's why it is called a univariate frequency series. If we take like the two variables, there are two variates there along with their frequencies, then it is called bivariate frequency series. It will be called bivariate frequency table and bivariate frequency series, where the two variates will be used and their with their respective frequencies. Now this type of the second table is given that here, and this table shows that a frequency distribution, but in the category of like we can assume that in the category of class interval form. So here the data means that is the height range. So height range are our data, and number of students is showing that the frequency, while the cumulative frequency is showing there. So because the height range is given that in interval form, that's why it is called the cumulative. This is called the continuous, or this it is called the interval type frequency distribution series. Cumulative frequency, as all we know that how can we add the cumulative frequency, how we can find the cumulative frequency. Cumulative frequency is of two types, and one is of the more than type and second is less than type. So in this frequency table, just what is given that the initial value is 25, next is it is given that 60. So 60 can be taken as just the sum of the frequency of that class interval with the previous frequencies. So like 35 and 25 becomes 60, while the cumulative frequency of 5.5 to 6 class interval is becomes 80. And how can it be just made? It is 20 plus 35 plus 25, means the current frequency with the sum of the all old previous frequencies. So in this way, this is the cumulative frequency table, and showing the interval type, range type of the series. Now next we are having the types of the frequency distribution series. The first is the exclusive series. In the exclusive series, we can see there we are having a class interval type of series there, and in which only thus we are having the lower limits. So in such a series, for a particular class interval, all the data items having values ranging from its lower limit to just below the lower limit. So it means what is the exclusive series means, in every class interval form just the lower limit is included, and the rest values are included for this class interval, but the upper limit is not included in that class interval. So like 40 to in the 40 to 50, 50 which is the upper limit is not included in this class interval. 50 will be included in the next class interval 50 to 60, and 50 to 60 where 50 is coming there in the lower limit. In the 60 to 70, 60 is included there, but 70 is not included there. So upper limits are not included in that class interval. It will be included in the lower limit class interval. So that is called the exclusive series. Next, the inclusive series. In the inclusive series, in every class interval, both lower limit and the upper limit, both the upper limit and the lower limit will be included. So that is here like 10 to 19. So 10 is included, 19 is included, 20 is included, 29 is included in the next class interval, and then so on. So next is the open-end series. In the open-end series, we can see how can we determine it. In the open-end series, the last class interval, the last class means the upper limit is not defined there. The lower limit of the first class in the series is included, but the upper limit of the last class in the series is missing. So upper limit for the last class interval is not included there. Like we can understand this example where the lower limit is defined but the upper limit 20 and above. So this upper limit is not mentioned there. So that is an example of the open-end series. Next are the two type of series, cumulative frequency series and the mid-value frequency series. As all we know that a cumulative frequency, the concept and the meaning of cumulative frequency, and when we take the series in terms of cumulative frequency, that is it is known as a cumulative frequency series. So in a cumulative frequency series, we either add or subtract the frequencies of all the preceding class intervals to determine the frequency of a particular class. So in this class, frequency series, we just add or subtract the frequencies of all the preceding class intervals to determine the frequency for a particular class. So that means just suppose we are discussing about that the 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50 and 50 to 60 class interval problem, and the frequencies are given that. So it means the cumulative frequency table will be just like the cumulative frequency can be made by either subtracting or adding of just previous frequencies for that interval which is required to find. Like suppose just we have to find for the 30 to 40 class interval frequency, then either we have to add or we have to subtract the previous frequencies for this class interval. So that is these are of less than and the upper less than the upper limit or more than the lower limit type of cumulative frequency series. And these series just in this series, when we draw the curve of the cumulative frequency series, then these the curves of the cumulative frequencies are called ogive. So ogive are of the two types, less than and less than ogive and more than ogive. The next type of frequency series is called the mid-value frequency series, and in this series a mid-value frequency series is the one in which we have the mid-values of the class intervals. So here we are having just mid-values of the class intervals and the corresponding frequencies. So when we take the mid-value for the class interval and the corresponding frequencies, then this is called the mid-value frequency series. So in the today's session we have discussed about the part of the frequency distribution and frequency distribution series, important part for the questions and for the like a concept, and the whole statistics depend on this concept part of the frequency distribution. So students are advised to prepare this topic with concepts and understand what is meaning of this frequency distribution, and prepare objective as well as descriptive questions for this topic. Thank you.